Hello and welcome to Useless Ideas Podcast. I am Matthew Churchill, and as always with Curtis Smith. And you told Noah not to wait for the thing. You went.
Oh yeah. No, I'm the one fucking up. You were still in the middle of talking, so I was waiting. But
so yeah, we have Noah
back again this week.
Back again. Guess who's back? Back again. JD's okay. Anyway, Noah's back here with us today, but instead of doing what he did last time as in recalling stories and such, he's going to be a quote-unquote judge today.
Thoughts on that, buddy?
Please help me. Please, for the love of God, help me.
If
you're watching this, please help me.
I swear to God, we haven't locked him in Matt's basement for the last week and only allowed him out now to record this podcast. We're not.
Is it still warm out? Please, is
Fuck no! It snowed on Monday. It was horrible.
You fucking serious?
Yeah.
Jesus
It was
Christ.
so shitty.
It's April, man. It's April.
I was in a snowplow for 16 hours. I had a snowblower on my fucking loader for 16 hours on Monday. It was terrible.
Ah.
That's how my week's gone. That's the weather update from the Useless Ideas podcast. We'll go to our eye in the sky later this hour, and we'll get you your traffic updates.
If you live in the southwestern Ontario region,
Yeah.
just make sure that you didn't forget to put make sure that you hope you forgot to put on your summer tires.
Yeah. Rest in peace to everybody that brought out their nice cars and were like, oh, sweet, I can pull out my fun little summer car, and it snowed.
It's a great time for the Bentley, isn't it, Margaret?
Yeah. Yeah, you're just going, I think it's time. You know what? I think it's time to pull out my Corvette for the summer, for the season. It's been nice and warm the last few days, and there's a fucking ice storm in April.
Well, that's what you get for having a Corvette, let's be honest.
Dude, those things are sick. What? Anyways.
I remember it hailing once on August 1st.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's horrible. This is what it's like to live in Canada. Honestly, I feel like we try so hard to think that Canadian stereotypes aren't accurate, and yet we're all just like, well, it was hailing down there in April there, bud. But I still had to go to Timmy's because I had a hockey game later to go to that day there. You're like, you try to pretend it's not a legit stereotype, but it's so
Actually,
That was Minnesota.
Minnesota's
the other
also
day-
a hellhole.
the other day, my dad was complaining that during the intermission of the Leafs game, he went to go to grab Timmy's, but by the time he got the car scraped off, the intermission was done. So he couldn't go to Timmy's for a coffee and a maple cream.
That's so honest to God accurate. And I saw, when I was watching just this hellish series that has been Boston and Toronto, we're not talking about sports this week or next week or honestly until it's a baseball playoff preview special because I'm so fucking pissed off at the Maple Leafs.
Or a midway thing for baseball, maybe?
Yeah, we'll figure something out. But we're not talking about hockey at the moment, other than I will say
Maybe a quick update at the end of the entire thing. Just
Yeah,
say,
okay.
oh, look, it's
Hey, congrats to the Nashville Predators on winning the Stanley Cup. You're
Well-
jinxed, I'm sorry. But
three-peat jinx.
stop.
We need more the Kessel eating hot dogs out of the Stanley
This
Cup.
is not what we need.
Yes, we need more Kessel eating hot dogs out of the Stanley Cup.
Anyways, I saw Lou Lamoriello drinking a Tim Hortons coffee, and I thought that was pretty Canadian. Was the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs drinking a Tim Hortons coffee while watching the Leafs lose? Doesn't get more accurate to being a Leafs fan than that.
Okay.
Other than really sadly drinking a crap load of Molson's.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not been a fun series so far, but not necessarily over yet.
Three more games. Probably
Please.
not, but 3 more games, please.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Anyways, that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking
about everyone's favorite.
Finally, we've been teasing it for a few weeks. It's time for conspiracy theories.
Cue
The
X-Files
X-Files
theme.
theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what we meant by Noah being the judge, is that we have a conspiracy theory each that we will try to go into our best to detail.
Yeah.
and then after each one, as in I go, then Noah judges, Curtis goes, or whoever goes first,
Right.
goes, and then Noah judges it. Say like, yeah, that's kind of believable. Or yet, no, fuck that.
It's not about it being believable here. It is about blowing the top off of the Illuminati cloning conspiracy, Matthew.
Playing the fucking frogs game.
We're gonna get into it.
Okay, so Curtis, you want to go first?
I will let you go first. I
Okay.
would like to actually hold off for a few more moments.
Okay, which is kind of a good thing because mine is a little bit more popular, I guess.
I gotta get into my notes. So,
mine was popular about 2 and a bit years ago. 2 years and change, I think. It's very, very popular on Reddit. The theory that Jar Jar Binks was a...
stop with fucking Jar Jar Binks.
Let me finish.
I've heard this one before.
I hate you.
I like this theory.
I hate you so fucking much.
I watched YouTube videos on this at 2 a.m. in the fucking morning while I couldn't sleep. I fucking love this theory.
So the theory that Jar Jar Binks was a trained Force user, knowing Sith collaborator, and will play a central part in The Force Awakens. That part isn't true. He didn't in Force Awakens, I think. Oh, spoiler alert, I guess, question mark. But,
Force Awakens came out like 2-3 years ago,
Yeah.
so it's not spoilers anymore. But yeah,
some
okay.
people are, like, whatever. But yeah,
That's fair.
I'm just gonna try to keep the Force Awakens part out of it if I can. Unless it's, like, central. Probably isn't. But
Have you not really?
I've seen it, but I mean...
Okay, I wasn't because you seem not to have learned as much about it, but okay. Let's hear this.
It's been a while since I actually read it.
Okay, because I have never actually heard this one. I've just tried to relegate it out of my mind.
I read it when it was first posted 2 years ago,
Okay.
but I haven't really touched on it since. So I'm just try to not word for word, but for the most part, fairly read the post,
Yeah.
just so so you guys get it. The post is on r/Star Wars on Reddit,
Right.
posted by the guy Lumpawaru Lumpawaroo, says, here I will seek to establish that Jar Jar Binks, far from being simply the bumbling idiot he portrays himself
In this
as...
essay, I will explore.
Look, that's what it says. Okay.
Yeah. No, I see.
From being simply the bumbling idiot that he portrays himself as, is, in fact, a highly skilled Force user in terms of martial ability and mind control. Furthermore, I assert that this is just this stuff.
His
That's the
thesis
introduction.
statement.
Yeah, the thesis statement of it. So I'm just gonna try to find the part that jumps right into it. So first, let's establish Jar Jar as a skilled warrior. While he does not, in itself, necessitate a connection with the physical force, it's highly suggestive that in the Star Wars universe, very rarely do we see a quote-unquote normal character exhibiting extraordinary stunt work or physical feats unless they are Jedi, Sith, or at least Force-sensitive. And I post to a GIF to, GIF. It is the owner, not the owner, the creator of it says GIF, so... the GIF of Jar Jar nonchalantly executing a standing 20-foot twisting somersault. Let's just look into that just to see the context in the movie. I'm presuming it's from not Force Awakens, the Phantom Menace. Yep, it is the part near the beginning in which he jumps into the water with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Now, taken out of context, if you were watching a Star Wars movie and saw a character casually execute this maneuver, you'd probably assume it was a Jedi, with like no prior context, right? In the context of Jar Jar, though, we wouldn't, because elsewhere he thoroughly convinces us that he's nothing more than a harmless dunce, with his insane dialogue and cowardly lion act. He also manages to convince us that he is a bumbling oaf in the midst of a pitched battle, even though he was always incredibly, amazingly successful. Whether single-handedly taking down a battle droid tank, or unleashing a barrage of Boombas on their front lines, or precisely targeting multiple enemies with the plaster tangled around his ankle. We simply rolled our eyes to attribute it to dumb luck. But is it? Obi-Wan warned us otherwise.
Why does he have the high ground?
Because
See, I know Star Wars memes.
Episode 4, Obi-Wan, Ben at the time, says, "In my experience, there is no such thing as luck." Right? Oh, I actually okay, one sec. I hit back one too many times. This is one of the main reasons why, as an audience, hate Jar Jar so thoroughly.
One of the reasons, not because he's unbelievably annoying.
As he perceives us, tries to convince us as proposed by this theory. He breaks the fourth wall. He shatters our suspension of disbelief because we know that no one is really that lucky. We dismiss it as a lame, cliched trope. The silly, pathetic oaf who always seems to do inadvertently save the day. I posit that instead this is a deliberate facade on the part of which Jar Jar as a character and on the part of the writers and animators. As we know, the Jedi themselves are inspired by the Shaolin monks. And there's a particular kung fu discipline that the Jar Jar's physicality is purposefully modeled upon, which allows him to appear goofy and uncoordinated, even as he lays waste to his enemies. Namely, Zui Quan. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to pronounce it Zui Khan. Or Drunken Fist Wushu. The discipline seems seeks to imitate the sloshing, seemingly random foibles of a drunkard. But in reality, the staggering and stumbling is the use of bodily momentum, deception, unpredictability intended to lure and confuse opponents. A guise, as you will. Almost. Let's take a look at Jar Jar's displaying some wushu, and they just post a bunch of gifs of him doing something and a bunch of comparisons to the actual move from the stuff, right?
Right.
If you slow down the above gif, the one above it, you'll notice Jar Jar dodges an incoming blaster shot, and at the very beginning, you'll also notice how he's mysteriously aware of the droideka as it appears behind him, even though it isn't in his line of sight and couldn't possibly hear it over the din of battle.
Are you enjoying your lecture?
I'm learning that Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord, according to this theory.
You're learning some bullshit.
Thank you.
No, it's not.
Thank you for that.
It's a great theory.
It's anything involving Jar Jar Binks is awful. The Phantom Menace being a prime example.
It's a good trick.
Then post the gif of Jar Jar centering himself in preparation for a force jump.
Okay.
A gif to that, and they got the comparison. But even if Jar Jar is a secret Drunken Fist boxing master, that doesn't make him a force user, right? Well, it should at least make us suspicious of his character, period. It establishes that his over-the-top childish antics are a veneer masking a more complex character than we would like to believe.
Star Wars was written by George Lucas. He didn't do complex.
Thank you. This is okay.
He said, this guy's good, this guy's bad, this guy's kind of in between.
And then he
So we
destroyed his.
So we think.
No, that's his bum. That's how he did it. Everything written in this article is wrong.
Thank you.
Have you actually read the thing?
I'm just the 30 seconds I've been listening to you. I'm like, that sounds like bullshit to me because it's a movie. If they were meant to be these things that these people who write these articles think they are meant to be, it would be in the movie.
There was plans of something similar, apparently.
But they weren't. They didn't come to fruition. Therefore, they're not canon.
If we don't get a Jar Jar version of Solo, then honestly, what is Lucasfilm even doing with all the money that they've made?
And it's just still Donald Glover. He just plays Jar Jar. He just has a
What?
shitty Jar Jar.
Yeah, honestly, like a Party City Jar Jar Binks costume, but it's just mostly Donald Glover walking around for like a 2-hour movie. I'd actually pay to see that.
Because we need more Jar Jar, guys. Come on.
Yeah, obviously.
Jar Jar's the best character in all of 8 movies. 9 movies.
No.
Yes.
Awful. You haven't heard my theory.
I'm just.
Mine is much better actually than this Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord thing, but I'm ready to hear the rest.
I'm just wondering if it's possible to disown a legal adult at this point. Jar Jar is the best character. What?
Let me Google. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Can you disown a legal adult?
You did it on mine as well.
So what we've
You don't have
learned,
to do it. You just have to.
You just need to-
F, Matt, delete.
you just need to take him out of your will, and then it's problem solved. This is fantastic.
Today I learned.
Yeah.
The Google fucking solves everything.
You don't need to. You just. And it's gone.
It's on sale.
Knives?
I'm a little worried actually about what he is gonna do with the knives, but
Just, you know,
Noah bought some knives.
I hope. I hope that's all. But
Well,
see,
no, if you cook for a living, it's good to have
Yeah.
knives.
Yeah, they're Henkels. It's like the best knife brand you can get.
nice.
IKEA.
All
is
I need to know is that they're Gordon Ramsay approved, and if they're not, then you shouldn't have bought them.
I'm willing to bet that there are some Japanese knives that were like folded over like katanas that are probably.
Well, the reason they fold their steel so much is the quality of their steel is real shit.
Huh.
Like you have
What,
European
like-
steel where it's just like, here's a steel, melt it, turn it into a brick, hammer an edge onto it, boom, you have a really strong sword.
I did not know that.
Huh.
The steel was so shit in Japan, it's like,
They had
we
to
have
fold
to fold it so it's so dense.
That it can't break.
Yeah. Whereas
Huh.
European steel is kind of like, we got this really high quality hard steel, and we got this steel that's easier to shape. Let's kind of just mix it in a bowl and hammer it into a sword. And it's the best quality steel on earth.
Today I learned
Yeah.
something else.
We are learning a lot.
With the money you get from disowning Matt, you could buy a European sword.
You gotta bring it back around.
Full circle. Then Matt uses that sword to kill you to get the money from your will.
You just walk around outside the house with chains. Okay, let's finish this fucking theory.
Okay, thank you for the run-in by my dad, Craig Churchill. Okay.
Dude, he made that so much. He's made that theory so much better. Okay.
Okay. So back to where was I? Suspicious. Yeah, okay. It establishes that his over-the-top childish antics of a new masking book of a more complex character that we had led to believe. But even if you choose to ignore Georgia's seemingly magical prescience in battle, I believe that there is a particular scene in which we do see him clearly make use of the physical force. In The Phantom Menace, when Georgia and the Jedi ambush the droids, ambush the droids and rescue the Queen and her entourage, Georgia accidentally botches his leap from the balcony. A few frames later, he is seen dropping from the opposite side of the balcony, which could be seem to be quite the impossible without the force-assisted jump or force sprint of some kind. Or if you look at it outside of this theory, it could be a continuity error. But okay.
Yeah, they were so busy spending all that money to get Jar Jar properly animated for the kids. So they're like, what side of the balcony was he on? Want me to rewind the film? No, it's burning too much money. Just flip a coin, heads left,
Yep.
right, tail. Flip.
Let's just go. Let's get this shit done. Let's make our money.
And then posts a look at the full scene in which that occurs. Now, as I said, the JoJo catch could we see JoJo catch hold of the balcony on the far right side, but then he drops to the ground on the far left. Easy to dismiss as a continuity, like as I said, or framing error, I suppose. Except that one of the droids continues to fire on JoJo's initial position, even as we see him drop elsewhere. Here it is in slow motion, and then posts what I assume is a GIF, or video or something like that. See the droid that comes charging up right behind the one Qui-Gon chops down. What's he shooting up there? And see its head swing back towards Jar Jar's new position after the shot. You can also see another droid behind it tracking Jar Jar with its head, and managed a shot on the new position. This means that the animators knew very well where Jar Jar was supposed to be, dangling from the balcony over Qui-Gon's left shoulder, and purposefully animate the droids attacking his inexplicably fast movement elsewhere. I think what has happened here, even though we don't see it directly, is that Jar Jar has purposely split the intention of the enemies by grabbing onto the balcony as he falls, and then, by using the Force, propelled himself with a pull-up flip combo to land on an unexpected place. In fact, this is a maneuver we've seen before, from a Jedi, twice, if you don't count Obi-Wan doing it in the Duel of Fates to take Maul by surprise. Yeah, when Luke does it in episode 6. When he 6, yeah, which he jumps off of the skiff outside of the Jabba's bigger skiff and goes down
with the Sarlacc plant.
Yeah.
Yep. Pit, whatever it is.
In addition to this kind of highly suspicious physical luck, I also believe we are given enough clues to justifiably suspect that Jar Jar is also a master at Jedi mind control. Consider, we hate Jar Jar. We hate the way Jar Jar influences major plot points for the same reason we hate his physicality. It messes with our sense of realism.
Because everybody watching Star Wars is like,
I would like a realistic, scientifically valid universe. Thank you, with all these clones and laser blasters. And what I'm looking for is empirical science.
Oh, metric
You know
science.
the people who did watch Star Wars at the beginning were those pocket protector wearing nerds. It's kind of like, hey man, you gonna make it to football practice? No, I'm gonna see a whole bunch of aliens shoot lasers. And there's gonna be a hot chick who gets enslaved by a giant slug. Yo, that's dope, man.
yeah.
I was like, what are
okay.
you, a nerd?
Well, okay, yes, but sorry. What I mean is, you still understand that it's science fiction, you're not looking for empirical science here. But,
When watching it, no.
okay, that's what I'm talking about. But let's finish this theory, because it's taken like 20 minutes.
But we did have to talk about the whole disowning and
Yeah,
sword.
it's worth every sidebar that we've gotten off on, but still, I'd like to finish this.
Hate him because of reasons. It messes with our sense of realism, as I said. Two experienced Jedi on a serious mission that would never actually bring someone that stupid along with them.
Mm-hmm.
No character that idiotic would ever really be made a general. They certainly wouldn't be able to make it as a goddamn senator.
Right.
How could anyone like Jar Jar really convince the entire
because-
galaxy to abandon democracy?
Yeah, because we've never seen a single senator who's just an idiot. Never once. It's never happened. It's no. There's an IQ test to be a senator. Absolutely.
In the same way. Not that he didn't quite do it the same way they did.
Okay. Fair enough.
He just kind of like, oh look, I'm senator. That kind of thing, almost. Almost.
Yeah.
But
anyways.
These things are just the political version of his physical quote-unquote luck. Inadvertent, seemingly comically bumbling that just so happens to result in astoundingly positive results, but what if it isn't that inadvertent? And what if Georgia's meteoric rise, I can't speak English, rise in inexplicable influence isn't the result of done happenstance, but the result of extensive and careful use of the Force mind powers? Jedi, and presumably Sith, exhibit telltale signs when using the mind trick to implant suggestions or influence behavior for one. And separate sentences. Or influence behavior, period, for one. They always gesticulate, and they'll post to a GIF, which I assume is going to be Ben. Nope, that's Luke in episode 6 again. Okay. And not so subtly wave their hands at the target. Is this Ben? Nope, this is Obi-Wan in episode 2. Here's a look. You want some death sticks? Here's a look at some pivotal Georgia moments, some GIFs. We'll post the link to the Reddit thing into in the description if you want to look at these GIFs that I keep saying out there. Actually, and then this photo after the GIF says, actually, if you watch the prequels with the idea that Jar Jar might be a manipulative, dark character, you begin to notice just how insidious and subtle his manipulation is, and how effective in almost every sequence he's involved in. And so also just how hyper-aware of the overarching plot he really is. Gives some examples. Jar Jar tracking the Jedi into traveling through the planet core, so that they need him. Jar Jar carefully causing a scene so they run into Anakin. Jar Jar constantly mocking Qui-Gon behind his back while Anakin is watching, so that Anakin learns disrespect for Jedi authority early on. Jar Jar telling an 8-year-old child that the Queen is, quote, pretty hot, fanning the flames of the child's infatuation that is exploited later on. The poster can go on and on and on, but he doesn't. Says, now if you lend even the slightest credence to my above points and acknowledge the possibility that Jar Jar might not be an idiot, you're almost forced to conclude that Jar Jar Binks and Palpatine were co-conspirators. If Jar Jar is putting forth an elaborate act to deceive people, it means he's not a fool. And if he's not a fool, it means his actions in episode 2 that facilitate Palpatine's plans are not those of an unwitting tool. Okay, let me just try to find a skip to part in which is slightly off of the mind trick stuff. Because this is quite a long one. Oh, that's actually quick. It's almost to the end. Where was I? Okay. Well, looking through this, it's almost done, so I might as well just finish it off. Remember, Palpatine and Jar Jar are from the same planet, Naboo. Which, in the scale of the Star Wars universe, is like growing up as next-door neighbors. It's entirely possible that they knew each other for years prior to the Phantom Menace. Perhaps they trained together, or one trained the other. And Naboo is a really strange planet, actually. Remember those old, odd, ancient statues with a third eye? Naboo is the kind of place an outcast Gungan might find a Sith holocron or two. Those being like books in the square form, right? But that's just speculation. So let's stick to what we know. What we know is that even after Palpatine is elected as Chancellor, years after Jar Jar has been tricked, quote-unquote, into helping elect him, Palpatine still hangs out with Jar Jar in Return of the Sith. Why? Wouldn't he be a consistent source of public embarrassment? This is the same character who can't walk 5 yards without stepping in a poodoo or squealing like a rabid donkey, right? What does he have now? Why is he still in? Why is he still at the right hand of the most powerful person in the entire galaxy? Could it be that, in fact, Jar Jar is the most powerful person in the galaxy? Fine, maybe hilarious conspiracy theory, but why would George Lucas bother to create this devious Gungan character without an elaborate conspiratorial past, but then never actually reveal his true nature? Here's George Lucas from a documentary talking about Yoda. Yoda really comes from a tradition in mythological storytelling, fairy tales, of the hero finding a little creature on the side of the road that seems very insignificant and not very important, but who turns out to be the master wizard, or the master thing. As we all know, one of Lucas's big deals with the prequels, that they were meant to intend as a quote-unquote rhyme and mirror the originals in the original trilogy in terms of general narrative themes. So there should have been a seemingly innocent creature found on the side of the road that later reveals as a major player. We do have a creature that seems to describe precisely. We do have a creature that this seems to describe precisely. Jar Jar. But of course he never develops into a master of anything. Here's what I think happened. I think that Jar Jar, this is still in the post, Jar Jar was initially intended to be the prequel and dark side equivalent of Yoda, just as Yoda had his big reveal. When we learn that his tottering geriatric goofball persona is just a mask, Jar Jar was intended to have a big reveal in episode 2, maybe even 3, where we learn that he's not really a naive dope, but rather a master puppeteer of Sith in league with, or perhaps in charge of, Palpatine. However, George Lucas chickened out. The fan reaction to Jar Jar was so vitriolic that this aspect of the trilogy was abandoned. Just too risky. If Jar Jar is truly that off-putting, it's potentially ruinous to the entire Star Wars legacy to imply that he's the ultimate bad guy of the entire saga. So, pretend that he was just a failed attempt at comic relief instead. This is why Dooku seems like such a flat, shoehorned-in character with no backstory. He was hastily written in to cover the plot holes left when the villain Jar Jar was redacted. Yoda was meant to duel with his literal dark-side nemesis and mythological equivalent at the end of Attack of the Clones. Not boring old Count Dooku, but Sith Master Jar Jar. And Binks was meant to escape not the duel, but to survive the entire trilogy so that he could cast a shadow on the original trilogy, too. You'd rewatch the originals knowing that the Emperor wasn't necessarily the big baddie after all. Jar Jar is still out there somewhere. It would have been sort of brilliant. But I believe it's likely that the writers of the new trilogy will resurrect this idea. They haven't so far. Most people seem to think that Disney wishes to distance themselves or somehow disassociate itself from the prequels. But this doesn't actually make any economic or marketing sense. There is far more prequel-era-based intellectual property to capitalize on than there is original trilogy. If only because of the Clone Wars movie and series. Billions of dollars in iconic toys, images, characters, games, park rides, etc. that an entire younger generation grew up on. Disney is not going to pretend that over half of the $4 billion in IP they bought simply isn't worth acknowledging. And anyway, we have behind the scenes The Force Awakens footage that clearly showing imagery being used for prequels. Also, many of the flags above Maz's castle in the trailer are from the Phantom Menace. No, it stands to reason that one of the primary goals will be to reinvigorate and ultimately try to redeem the prequels. In the eyes of the fanbase, to elevate the Emperor and improve them retroactively as much as possible. So how do you do that? last paragraph here. Jar Jar Binks has undoubtedly become the face of everything that is quote-unquote wrong with the prequels. He was too silly, too unbelievable, seemingly pointless. If you are able to somehow change the nature of Jar Jar from embarrassing idiot to jaw-dropping villain, suddenly the entire prequel trilogy must be seen in a new light, because it becomes the setup for the most astounding reveal in film history. Jar Jar Binks is supreme leader. No, that's not true. The final sentence here is Jar Jar Binks is supreme leader Snoke. No, he kind of isn't. At least it wasn't revealed to be. So other than the Force Awakens stuff, Noah, what do you think?
These are things. It's about a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay.
Because he wasn't in Force Awakens.
No.
He isn't Snoke. But it is some really weird shit.
Given the context of the prequels, it's good, but given the context of the sequel trilogy, it hinders it a bit, right? Yeah. So that's
Definitely a conspiracy.
there's something to thinky thunk about.
Alright. You've been trying to get me to listen to this for 3 weeks.
Here we go, boys.
Entering the ring to my right, Curtis Smith with his.
Boys, I'm so ready for this. I've been sitting on this one for a while now. I have been sitting on this theory. This wonderful, not even it's I won't even call it a theory because it is not. This is an absolute this is an expose, okay? This here is more than just your average conspiracy theory of, you know, whatever typical conspiracy theories you've heard, you know, oh, the Jews control everything, those type of conspiracy theories. No. Yeah. No, it's not this. This here is more than that. In this theory and in this expose, I'm gonna call it, I will be combining a whole bunch of different things. These include Canadian serial killer Robert Pickton, Queen Elizabeth II, dick sucking, country music Hall of Fame legend Kenny Rogers, and cloning.
Star Wars Episode 2.
All of these. You're putting your jacket on, Noah.
Yes.
Are you?
He's probably preparing himself to nope.
Are you planning on leaving? Just based on the
Possibly.
introduction to this expose. All right. So for some context, for those of you who don't know, I'll give context on each of these individual characters. The Queen obviously needs no introduction. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
She'll be the Queen of the Earth.
Yeah, basically. Queen of like 16 different countries. No introduction needed. Cloning and dick sucking also really no introduction needed. Everybody knows cloning and everybody knows dick sucking.
Grapefruit.
You gotta give him one of those, boys. Kenny Rogers, for those of you who don't know, wrote a whole bunch of hits back in the 70s and 80s. Obviously, The Gambler being probably his most famous song. So, he's super important. And Robert Pickton, Canadian serial killer. He was active from 1979 to 2002. Officially convicted of 6 murders, although the actual number is about 49. So
Actually, it was suspected.
no, actual number is 49. Suspected it could be a lot higher.
Okay.
Anyways, that's sort of beside the point, but not really, because Robert Pickton was killing. He was active in Vancouver, BC, or Port Coquitlam, BC, was where his farm was. All his victims were taken from the downtown east side of Vancouver. They were all prostitutes. So that's an important factor for this particular expose, because let me tell you about Donald Marshall. So, Donald Marshall is an Illuminati whistleblower from whose testimony all of this wonderful knowledge comes from. You can go to donaldmarshallrevolution.com. I've gone down the rabbit hole, and you can find all of this in detail on his website. So, so he's an Illuminati whistleblower. I think Matt's looking it up currently.
Was it
Donald Marshall Revolution.
Marshall?
So, basically, Donald Marshall was created by the Illuminati as what they called a diddle kid.
Diddle kid?
A
Oh, so
diddle
Catholic,
kid.
Catholic Church is in here.
An
too.
altar boy, yes. Yes, indeed.
Oh boy, the first thing that popped up was
Yeah.
inseminating. Something artificial insemination. That was the first one.
Artificial insemination, yes, that's one of the tabs.
Okay. What a pretty boy.
Yeah, so Donald Marshall created as a diddle kid for the Illuminati, which
Pretty boy.
I don't really need to explain. Obviously, it's pretty.
Some diddle, some kitties.
It's pretty on the nose with the title there. However, so the issue is he's hanging out in Buckingham Palace, where the Queen lives.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do with the Illuminati, right? And so he's created, like I said, as a diddle kid. The issue was the first time he went to suck a dick. This very small child, he begins to cry. Now all the Illuminati elite are like, this is not sexy, this is not okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And so they were going to kill him, right? And they decide, this is approximately 1979/1980, when this is going on here. So, basically, they go, okay, so we're just going to kill this thing because it was a failed clone. And they go, but we'll give you a chance. What can you do? Is there anything that you're useful for before we decide to kill you? And so Donald Marshall begins to sing. And he sings the song Lady by Kenny Rogers, which had not yet been written. Welcome, Megan. This song Lady by Kenny Rogers had not at the time been written. And so it did not exist until this point. The Illuminati realized this is a great song, right? This song's a banger. So what they did was, using a Kenny Rogers clone, they recorded the song Lady and then made it a #1 hit in 1981. Yeah. Donald Marshall also wrote a lot of other songs and became known as the Amazing Song Boy. One of which was the song Chris Benoit by ICP. By Insane Clown Posse. Yeah, that exists. Written by Donald Marshall. So,
Thanks, Don.
yeah, so that's the song.
No,
that
was it actually about Chris Benoit? As in, like the
Correct.
wrestler? Okay.
Correct, yes. Chris Benoit. So, the amazing song boy, Donald Marshall. So, he realized, he realizes that the Illuminati has been doing this for a long time. They've been creating a ton of different clones, and they exist for a reason. One particular reason was that clones would be used as an entertainment tool. Killing clones would be used as an entertainment tool for the Illuminati elite. And what he realized was that all clones had the same death scene, it was at that point, that was how he realized that many serial killers, not just Robert Pickton, but specifically he calls out Robert Pickton, were killing clones of people for the enjoyment of the Queen and other Illuminati elites at Buckingham Palace. Because if there's what we know about serial killers, is that they all eventually find a method. Why is that? Typical psychology would dictate it is exactly what works for a serial killer. That is the FBI Behavioral Science Unit would properly describe the reasoning behind that. I'm not going to go too far into that because that's not what I'm mostly talking about. But the real reason, because as we know, of course, the FBI is run by the Illuminati, not surprising.
Yeah,
So-
everyone knows that. It's just common fact.
Yeah, obviously. That's clearly a common fact. And so, that's the thing, is most of these killers are created as clones. Many of which I would wager, I haven't done the research on this, but what I would wager, all of these are created out of what do most people fear. So, that explains a lot of these killers.
I feel fallen.
Okay. But I think the Illuminati has created the killers that are based on a lot of what people fear. So, or the people that we would find to be very uncomfortable. The really gross guy who lives on a farm and is super sketchy all the time in Robert Pickton. John Wayne Gacy, of course, the killer clown. So Stephen King used him as an inspiration to create Pennywise in It. Ted Bundy, really handsome, really charismatic, sort of an upstanding guy with a dark secret. Those killers are created by the Illuminati to kill clones for the enjoyment of Queen Elizabeth, which is why they get caught. Is because eventually they get bored with whatever particular killer, and so they go, whatever, just stop running the clone, it'll ease itself out. And that's when you see a lot of killers in prison decide to flip. Ted Bundy starts to blame pornography. John Wayne Gacy says he never did anything. It was a police officer that was murdering all those boys. That's when you see, and that's why you saw in 2016, Robert Pickton wrote a book titled Robert Pickton in His Own Words. I want a copy. If any of you have one, send it to me. Please. Send us an email and I will get it sorted out that you can send me that book. Anyways, basically saying that he never killed anybody. Why is it that killers always do that? Is it because they're trying to get out of something? Maybe in the case... You would argue that, yes, in the case of Ted Bundy or John Wayne Gacy, because those two were facing the death penalty. Canada doesn't have the death penalty. Robert Pickton faces no end. He has no immediate end game. His end game is just dying in a prison cell. So it's not like he can avoid getting the needle or getting getting electrocuted to death. So it's because the Illuminati have stopped running these clones in the proper mindset that they had been created to do. And it is actually clones killing other clones for the enjoyment of Illuminati elites. All of this brought to you from the brain and the testimony of Donald Marshall. I want to see if I'm missing anything. I don't believe I am. Yeah, so that... When you think about it, it's actually really, really simple. It all boils down to the Illuminati are running things. And then that's why Robert Ressler and John Douglas existed in the FBI Behavioral Science Unit, because that is obviously an Illuminati shell. It's probably, in fact, why clone Robert Mueller is going so heavily after Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is not a clone. Nobody wants to create that monstrosity. So that is because the Illuminati are not willing to give up their power and have the clone or any of the reptiles that they've had previously running, such as President Obama, I love you, or President George W. Bush, who obviously dumb, not their best work, which leads us in to Bush having done 9/11. I'm not actually going to get into that. That is besides the point. But more...
Not yet, at least.
It may go down the rabbit hole, but that is not yet the point. The point is, that is why. John Douglas and Robert Ressler, obviously, two of the FBI Behavioral Science Unit, or the FBI, they founded basically the Behavioral Science Unit. The show Mindhunter, based off of them, obviously the book Mindhunter, written by John Douglas, really broke into the serial killer psychology. That is not the reason, because most serial killers are actually clones created by the Illuminati for their enjoyment. The reason is because they needed, for all of us, to keep that suspension of disbelief. This is the reason. That is the thing, is they are trying to pull a fast one over you. The Illuminati are trying to pull a fast one over us by making us think that, oh yeah, there are just these monsters that exist out here that are just, some people are just, boom, gone in the head. They're just crazy people. And that is the reason that they end up with all these ridiculous things. You know, that's why they end up killing all of these people, 39 or 35 people, 49 people, or even when they don't kill that many, that's why you see Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, being a cannibal and all that. It's not because they're crazy, it's because they're clones, and the Illuminati are seeing how far they can actually push it with these clones to create as much enjoyment for the elites as they possibly can. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why Donald Marshall has led into this expose of the Illuminati cloning system.
So like a Hunger Games with clones and...
No, clones specifically created to kill other clones. It's really simple, Matt. I don't know how you missed any of that.
It's the Clone Wars, Matt.
No, it's...
Let me explain. Like the Hunger Games, but not in a dome, and only watchable by the Illuminati.
Correct. The Illuminati are watching this. It's all basically... It's like the Illuminati have like a Twitch scenario going on here. It's why they create as much of this as they wanted to. And that's why they pick specific victims. It's why killers will pick... They're programmed to pick a specific type. You're given each killer program. This is the target that we want to see what happens with. Go.
Like prostitutes, people with the last name starts with S.
Yeah, but it's like they pick certain things and then they see. And it's specifically... And it's very, very obvious with Robert Pickton, especially because of the inaction from the Vancouver Police Department. Because notoriously, the Vancouver Police Department in the Pickton case bungled it at every turn. They did everything they possibly could to be the Cleveland Browns of police departments. And, yeah. So, that is likely because I think the Illuminati wanted to see how many can we possibly get here. How many can we possibly... Let's just push the numbers and go for this long spree. This multi-decade long just murder spree. See what's going to happen. So let's run the police department too and just see what happens. And it's why, in fact, the judge in the Robert Pickton case also torpedoed it at every single turn. When they had DNA evidence for 39 of the 49 victims, when they had substantial forensic evidence or actual body parts, at the time I believe it was 26, so 26, now up to 39. At the time, 2007, when he went to trial, it was 26 victims they had substantial evidence for. However, the judge chose to throw out 20 of them. One because it was a Jane Doe, and 19 because he just felt it was going to take too long. That is likely because he was also an Illuminati puppet, and they, I think, weren't really ready to see their guy, their favorite sort of protege clone, go and be locked up for the rest of... until that clone ceased to exist anymore. Until that clone eventually died. So I think that is why they were doing everything in their power to try and get them out. And if you want me to tie it into other Canadian serial killers, I imagine the same situation happened with the clones that created what we know as Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka. And it's why that deal with the devil goes down as to why Karla Homolka is out there right now. Why she's free, why Paul Bernardo is eligible for parole. Likely because the Illuminati decided, hey, a lot of open space up in Canada. We can make this happen where we can get these really crazy numbers with these clones. But unfortunately, sometimes things happen where they don't expect it. And these clones can get played and get screwed over by regular people. And that is why you see, especially in Canada, they bungle the cases that so many times people will screw up the cases and the prosecution of these serial killers in Canada. That is the expose on the Illuminati and the cloning. Noah, I'll let you.
I think I need to stop this real quick. You know a little too much.
It's over now. Noah, I'll let you unpack.
To be completely honest, I fell asleep for a little bit.
How? I was screaming at you for the last 20 minutes.
You promised blowjob and only mentioned it like once, maybe twice.
I did talk about the dick sucker.
For like,
Hey, prostitutes, there you go. I was talking about Robert Pickton killing prostitutes, so they probably gave a little bit of that. A little bit of throat service. But I'll allow you to unpack your thoughts.
Where the fuck do I start?
Anywhere you'd like.
I'm gonna rate that as 0.
What do you mean? This is an expose. This is the expose of the century.
it's only 2018. It's still like 82 years.
Nothing is bigger than this. Big if true.
81.5.
Big if true. It is not true, but if it was, you'd have to admit, pretty ridiculous. This is what I've been researching for the last 3 weeks since we decided to do a conspiracy theory episode. This has been the rabbit hole I have gone down.
So if it is true, you just broadcasted that after looking it up for 3 weeks. Said that the Illuminati has an army of serial killers.
Oh no,
They're
I'm
expanding into Canada.
Oh no, I'm super dead. I'm super dead if this is real.
Well, you fucking deserve it at this point, having to throw us all into this shit.
Oh no, we're all super dead.
Curtis Smith, a delivery for Curtis Smith.
Yeah, basically. No, we're all super dead. When the Illuminati figure out that this is what that I just let this loose, and then not only that, but that I was able to piece together the fact that I know now that Robert Mueller, my favorite guy on the world because he is going to get rid of Donald Trump, is actually a clone because the Illuminati didn't want to give up control of the biggest superpower in the United States, like the world's biggest superpower in the United States, because, I mean, Donald Trump is not a clone. He's just a bumbling idiot. He's just this bumbling racist sentient corn. I'm not sure what happened, but I think some Nebraskan farmer made a just horrible mistake and sent it off to New York. But that's besides the point.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
If the Illuminati, if this is actually true, then I'm. See you guys. I probably won't be around for the next episode of the show, but hey, it's been a good run so far.
Okay. I have an idea real quick.
Okay.
Since Noah hasn't said much, he said stuff, but he hasn't said much. Basically, his thoughts and said stuff.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, make a complete and utter bullshit conspiracy theory that is obviously not true.
And don't repeat mine. Because I know you were going to do that.
Off the top of your head. It's random.
Can you stop breaking all the Lego shit?
No, I just shot the thing. But anyways. You got nothing, do you?
Hey, something.
Piecing it together.
I'll let you piece it together.
Star Wars and Star Trek are in the same universe because they both have star in the name and are in space.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Well, one is in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago.
Could be happening right now, and now it's
Star
perspective.
Trek is in one galaxy, years in the future.
Then how are we observing it if it's in the future? Light doesn't work that way. We can watch Star Wars, that's how that works.
What we think is fiction now might be future later.
I just shrugged at the
A
microphone.
good point.
Well, I did wave at it earlier.
Yeah.
Well, alright.
No, if you ask a man to bullshit, he'll never bullshit. If you ask a man to tell the truth, then he'll bullshit. Come on.
Okay, tell me the truth about lizard people.
I already blew the lid off of that one.
Lizard people aren't a thing, but these chemtrails aren't making the friggin' frogs gay. They're making the frogs produce chemicals that make you gay. When you eat them, you see France in the 1800s not eating frog. They had the most powerful military. They had colonies fucking everywhere. They had Quebec. Quebec was its own country.
Quebec is gross.
It is gross. You know
Thank
why?
you.
They were eating frogs and they turned all the friggin' Frenchmen gay. Oh, I need my cheese and my tight shirts and my shitty mustache. That's France now, because they keep eating frogs to make them gay.
Frogs make you gay then. Not
Yes.
the frogs themselves are not gay.
No.
So the frogs are straight, but they turn you gay.
They have a specific pheromone that if ingested by someone that isn't a frog, turns them gay.
Or can frogs just not give blowjobs? Because I think if you
Well, they have
ingest
the
that-
expandy. You know,
what,
how they
like a
ribbit
Mitch
the-
McConnell neck pouch thing?
Yeah, you know when they rib it, it kind of puffs up.
That's when they or is ribbiting the actual secret? Maybe it's not eating the frogs, but it's hearing a frog ribbit that turns you gay.
Or is it the ribbiting that makes the gay drug?
Oh,
That they store.
I
The
know it is.
ribbiting, actually, I have a theory. It's the eating the frogs that makes you gay, but it's the ribbiting that makes you fuck your cousin. Because where do the most frogs ribbit? The southern United States. In those shitty swamp-covered states like Florida and Alabama. And where does the most cousin fucking happen? Alabama. Sorry,
You know.
Alabama.
17th century Austria.
All of Europe's royal
17th,
family.
17th century Europe. You
Yeah, okay, but modern. It's the frogs.
No, I think I know what it is.
It's the frogs.
I think I know what it is. It is in fact the ribbiting that's making you gay. You know why? Because the vibrations specifically made by the ribbiting is going into your ear, thus going to your brain, thus at the correct frequency to turn the switch in your mind to go, I'm gay, and just boom, vibrations. And then eating the frogs can also, I guess, but I mean, just to explain France, I guess. But yeah.
That is fucking wild. This is the episode we have been waiting to do for weeks on end. And I'm so glad we finally got to do it because I needed to unload onto other human beings everything that I've had to keep inside myself from this ridiculous rabbit hole that is DonaldMarshallRevolution.com. Obviously, I will make a disclaimer here. I recognize fully that that entire 25-minute rant is completely bullshit. Everything about it is bullshit. However, it was still
There is
worth
still a target on your back from the Illuminati for broadcasting this.
Oh no, I'm well aware. Like, super dead. Super dead. I don't know who's gonna be super deading me.
When's
but
your brother's birthday? Because if there's a clown there, you know you're gonna die.
No. You can't be a copycat here. I'd actually be. I would be livid. Honest to God, I would be livid if somebody tried to kill me as a clown. Because,
Fine.
like, listen
You know
here,
what?
motherfucker.
You're
You
gonna be-
do not get to just copycat this obese man.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mom, did you order the clown? No. I gotta go.
Yeah. Now here's my theory
No, I mean,
on how
obviously-
the Illuminati is going to kill Curtis.
Oh,
He's gonna
let's hear
be
it.
he's gonna be heading to work 5-6 in the morning, listening to his music. Gonna roll up to the yard. As soon as he gets out of his car, he's gonna hear the wonderful words that he's been waiting for. Hello, it's Engelbert calling. Bang!
Honestly, I'm okay with it. If I go out being murdered by Engelbert Humperdinck, that is more than I can ask for. So you know what? Honestly, Illuminati, I know you're listening because I just blew the top off your whole thing. If I get a choice, I'm gonna request. I will request a choice because I know you're gonna kill me, so that's fine. I'm ready for it. Please at least make sure that the clone you use to kill me is Engelbert Humperdinck. That's all I want, is to be murdered by Engelbert Humperdinck.
Okay, can I request his last meal?
Sure.
Tom Brady's cloned dick.
Oh my... Fuck off. Fuck off.
Or to just... Okay, I actually got an idea. Instead of... It's the same way of dying, but in a different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You know that one part in Ted 2?
Yes, I do. I know what you're talking about.
He has that scene saved on his phone.
He's watching that on repeat for an hour, then Humperdinck comes in.
No, he just gets email and Facebook messages and Instagram and just gets everything about his online presence, gets that gift, that video sent to him, and then it just goes, "It's Engelbert calling."
Boom, done. I'm into it, dude.
Then you get shot. You're not gonna die instantly. You're gonna get like a stomach shot.
Like I'm not cool with that because
After
number one,
the lovin'.
I'm not gay. So disclaimer, ladies, please, I'm lonely. Somebody just love me. But anyways,
Well, it has been said that he does have the face for radio. So
who?
you.
Yeah, I know. But anyways, number one, not gay. Number two,
Has been eating enough frogs.
I got it. I haven't been eating enough frog legs. Is it technically? Would it count if I cannibalized Mitch McConnell? Would that count, or is that turtle?
More turtle.
Yeah,
Tortoise, if anything.
Tortoise. Yeah, that's
the
about
tortoise.
accurate. He does look kind of like a tortoise.
The tortoise, like long neck, weird beaky mounted.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But anyways, don't you dare play Alex Jones on this show.
Okay, I got a song.
We're gonna get sued.
No, 1 second.
This is how you get an InfoWars lawsuit.
No, this is the remix by
Fair
on
use.
YouTube. The name who posted this is the guy who posted this is Rickske. I don't know how to pronounce this. Rikske space Patat. Patat. Rickske Patat.
Chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Boom, boom, serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. Boom. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs.
Anyway, yeah. We had to include Alex Jones in a conspiracy episode.
Yeah, that is
I had
fair.
to.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, so like I said, just to get on the Tom Brady tangent, obviously greatest quarterback that's ever lived, greatest quarterback that'll ever live, and obviously, yes, I'm a Pats fan. We all know this. We all know this.
Blake Bortles.
Stop that. But anyways,
Johnny Football.
I actually think it would be so funny to see Johnny Football be successful. I think that would be so good.
Didn't he get a offer from the Hamilton Ticats, and they were offering him like $400,000? He's like, no, I need 40 mil. And like,
It's a
that's
prank.
more than the town's worth. Like, come on.
That's fair. There is nothing about Hamilton that is good. But anyways,
They have McMaster. And I think there's an
Okay.
IKEA nearby. I don't know.
there's an IKEA sort of close to
Is it
it.
in Burlington?
Yeah, fair enough.
like
They
next
do.
door.
They do have McMaster. I'm excited to go to Brock University in September, because that's in St. Catharines, Ontario, which, to turn it all back, let's bring this back around, do a little bit of improv, bring it back to who? Paul Bernardo. Paul Bernardo's murder town.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
There's room on the door.
I actually don't have any, just of note. I'm gonna go to university in the same town where Paul Bernardo killed 3 people, so that's fun. Neato. See, that's the thing. We did get I will say, kind of cool. Within about an hour drive of us, we have 2 serial killers. Bruce MacArthur and Paul Bernardo.
That we know of.
That we know of. And a clone of Engelbert Humperdinck, who is en route from Buckingham Palace at this point. Who is, he'll be here soon.
Okay, just for reference, today is Friday 420.
Yeah.
So expect the announcement of his death by Monday. By Monday at the latest.
Yeah, probably. We'll announce it. We'll make sure that gets announced on Twitter. We'll do a special episode for you guys.
I'll do one of those vlog thingies I've been doing that I have at least 2 of right now. Those 2 3-minute things.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, Curtis is dead.
Just an update for y'all. He did, in fact, as we predicted, get murdered by the Illuminati.
And I was the closest. He was watching a TED 1, actually.
Oh my god. But yeah, alright. So I think that's that's pretty much it. I'll miss you guys when I'm
dead.
When I'm mucked. But that's fine. It's been a great ride, and I'm glad I could share it with you guys. If I'm still alive by the next episode, expect to see me back here next week. I'm not sure what we'll talk about yet, but we'll figure something out. I know I'm not actually going to tease it. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff still to do. Obviously, as always, you can find us all on Twitter. I'll start with Noah over there. You are on Twitter at something. I'll put it, I forget. I'll put it in the description and I'll put it on the screen. I'm not sure. Anyways, we'll figure that out. You can find Matt on Twitter at DravardMC. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Curtis Smitty. Same thing. So yeah, that's pretty much that. You can, as always, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this episode and any of our other episodes. If you haven't already listened to those, check them out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll see you guys next week if I don't get murdered by the Illuminati. Peace out.
Thank you guys, and take care. Jojo did nothing wrong.